All right. Hi there, I'm James Reid from ABT, Australian Bass Tournaments, and I have with me Mike Nelson. It seems like a bit of deja vu. It was only, about 3 or 4 months ago that I was sitting here with you doing the same interview after winning the 2018 Clarence River Bass Pro. We have Mike Nelson.
How you going, Jimmy?
I'm good, thanks, mate. How are you? Over the world?
Oh, mate, pretty pumped. It's good fun. Love it.
I bet you are. Now, like I said, you won here not that long ago. It was the start of bass season in September. You won that tournament fishing down in the Coldstream, fishing jigs on deep trees. You've told me you went up there for your pre-fish. There was too many boats and you figured something else out. Give me a rundown on what you figured out and what you did over the weekend.
Well, I came up here 3 weeks ago with the missus just for a little bit of a weekend away and a scouting mission, and the fish was scattered. There wasn't a whole lot going on anywhere in the river, to be honest. So pre-fish day I went upriver and had a look around, and I figured if there's going to be anything around, it's going to be further up. It's going to be more fresh water. It's quite salty down here, and even the Coldstream was pretty salty. And being at the end of summer, the fish are going to be generally higher in the system. So I was looking around up there, and there was a few isolated schools of fish above Rogan's Bridge, and you could catch them, but they were a little tricky, and only certain parts of the day would they bite. So that sort of set me up for this weekend, and I just basically went up on Friday and confirmed that they're all still hanging around. They were. They just moved around the system a bit, and that set me up for yesterday and today, basically.
Okay, so there's your rundown on how you managed your pre-fish and that. So when you started on Saturday, just run me down on where you went to and how long it took for you to start to get those fish to bite.
All right, so we went up above Rogan's Bridge another, 5 k's or so, and there's a whole heap of big rock walls up there which lead down in about 40, 50 feet of water. Some areas actually go to 70, which is really deep. Basically, started off side scanning and looking for those fish, trying to find those schools. And once I found them, sat pretty well close to them and just cast up onto the rock wall, and around 9:30, 10 o'clock is when those fish started to really bite. And if you stayed on top of the schools and flipped up to the rocks, you could get fish that way. And we only got, I think, 10 or 12 yesterday and 8 or 9 or 10 today. But you just had to be on the school of fish, and occasionally one would come up shallower to feed. You could drop your jig or whatever down into the schools of bass and you would never get a touch. So you just had to get that fish that was active at the moment.
Okay, so that's your Saturday, and you pretty much told me that you ran the same pattern on the Sunday. So with that, running the same pattern over 2 days, just tell myself and anybody watching what lures that you used running that pattern that actually got them to eat.
To be honest, I don't think it would have mattered what I threw, but I threw a combination of the Z-Man trick swims, and that was more of a lure to cover a bit of water. So up on the rock wall, parallel, you'd cover 10, 20 metres per cast, which one way to do it. The other option was the jigs, which you'd work down the rock wall, and you could pick a bass up between 6, 7, 8 foot down to 30 feet. Some of them were biting the lure. So that was basically it for both days.
Okay, there you have it. A very good rundown of how Mike Nelson has taken out his second win in only 3 or 4 months on the Clarence River. 2 totally different areas. So one area right downstream, the other area upstream. It shows that you're very versatile in rivers. Do you prefer rivers over dam fishing?
Yeah, look, I've only ever fished dams a few times, and that was years and years ago. I haven't even been on one for probably 3 years. So rivers are, that's where it's at, and that's what I enjoy doing.
Okay, there we have it, a self-confessed river rat. Mike Nelson, congratulations once again from myself and ABT. Maybe next time we have a qualifier here on the Clarence River, you're going to try and let anyone else beat you.
Look, mate, I said to someone earlier today, I'll probably double donut next time around.
Well, something tells me I don't think that you will. You being someone that loves fishing rivers, and not just for brim, you also, for bass, you also love fishing for brim. You're a very versatile angler in the rivers. Is there anybody here or anybody that you'd like to thank?
Yeah, thanks to the guys at Nomad Tackle. They supply some really good 13 fishing rods, reels. They helped me out today. I did break a couple though, so I'll be making a phone call next week, see if we can sort that out.
You hear that, guys at Nomad Tackle? You've got an order coming in very soon from Mike Nelson.
Yep.
Anyone else?
For the bass rounds, that's pretty much it.
Okay, Mike, you've given us a rundown on the technique that you used for the weekend. Now, I see you've got 2 rods there. Give us a rundown on the rods, reels that you were using and the lures that you have connected to them.
All right, so for the trick swims, which is the Z-Man trick swim lure with a 1/4 ounce jig head, so it gets down pretty deep. That was rigged on a Fate black 13 rod, which is a bit of a heavier model with a 2500 Daiwa reel, so you can really get stuck into them if they get into the rocks.
Now, I see you've got that rigged on a weedless hook. Would it have mattered if you had it on a normal jig head style hook, or are you running the weedless hook there just because you're down deep in the rocks?
Honestly, I don't think it would have mattered. The rocks aren't too snaggy with a normal jig head, but that's what I just throw for bass, so that's what I tied on.
Okay, so sticking to what you know. And I see you also have a bait cast rod there with your loved jig. Yep. Not the black jig that you won on last time, but it's still got a lot of black on there. Give us a rundown on that setup.
Look, this year the black jigs still work, but I found, the ones with a bit of red on them actually made a difference. It was a noticeable difference in the bite. They were more committed to it for some reason.
So do you think maybe you might have had some, as the Yanks say over in the States, molting craw? So they do change colour a bit when they shed their, they call it a carapace. Do you think that may have made the difference? They're not got that black hard shell like normal. They go a different colour when they're shedding?
Yeah, look, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, he doesn't know. So, no, that's all right, mate. Give me a rundown on the rod and reel that you're pitching that jig with.
So same as last year. It's the same rod. The Omen Green 6.8. It's a medium light power, so that's a 6 to 12 pound rod. So it's got a bit extra guts, to really give them a bit of stick. And the 13 Inception reel, 10 pound braid, 12 pound gamma leader. That stuff doesn't break. It's gold.
Good stuff.
Yeah, and that's it.
Okay, speed of the reel, because we all know a normal speed of the reel, a lot of guys like to use a fast reel. What have you got there?
This is an 8-to-1 gear ratio, so it's quite fast, which is exactly what you need when you're fishing this style.
That's right, because when a bass picks up a jig, a lot of the time they don't hit and run away from you. They tend to pick it up and run towards you. So you need that reel to pick up the line a lot quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. What happens on a regular basis, you'll cast in, if you've got a bit of slack line, they can suck in the lure, you don't even notice it. And you go to wind up, and next thing the bass is under the boat, and you've got to catch him up and set that hook. Otherwise, you can spit it out. So the faster reel is key.
Okay, thanks for that, Mike. A great rundown on rods and reels to use for these bass at the moment in the Clarence River. Also a great rundown on how you fish your jigs. Okay, are we going to see you for any brim rounds this year?
Maybe, if there's any close to the Port Stephens, I'll be there for that one for sure.
Okay, look forward to seeing you again. Congratulations, Mike Nelson. Thanks, mate. There we have it, our 2019 winner of the first Bass Pro Series, brought to you by Sufix. This round brought to you at the Clarence River by Bassman Spinnerbaits. Mike Nelson, a convincing win once again, and I'm out.